Thank you. At this time, council members, do you have any questions of staff? And I will start with Council Member Jones.
I have none at this time, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, before my time starts, any clarification to what just happened? There was a motion to bifurcate. There was 3 votes. He wasn't able to vote on that one, and it just all of a sudden became me overhearing the city attorney saying we're still going to bifurcate. So would you please explain what just happened? Because I'm under no understanding what happened with the motion. Carrie didn't go through. There's 3 people he can vote. He's not here, so clarify that for me.
Right, my understanding is there's a motion to bifurcate the discussion so that we have a discussion on the agenda items related to the golf course separate with Mr. Cox out of the room. We should probably handle that first since he's out of the room right now, although the public hearing should, for the purposes of the public, cover all of those items. Once Mr. Cox is back in the room, after we've had a vote on the golf course portion, we can discuss the other 3 resolutions that are on the agenda.
So you're saying that that motion passed?
Yes,
Okay.
the 3-1 vote. So I would take, Madam Mayor, I'd take all comments related to all, and questions related to all 3 items and then have a discussion separately on the golf course item first.
Okay, very good. So,
Yeah, I have it already.
Ms. Bones.
Yeah, so did staff add resolution 8-061, SCLA resolution 18-002, and BWD 18-009 for references as to what appropriations and increases in revenues are being recommended? No, I didn't see them, but I was hoping that they were in there, and I don't believe I saw them.
What, Madam Mayor, City Council, with reference to those 2018 resolutions are reference being made to the original resolutions that adopted the fiscal year budget back back in June of 2018.
Right, so just please be sure to add formal resolutions and or information that assist the council with rational and informative voting decisions. How will increasing the expenditures by a certain allotment and increasing the revenues by even lower amounts create such increases by these allotted monies? So if you read this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you need to refer to the resolutions before you respond to my questions, you can go ahead and please take a moment. I'm going to go ahead for the next question. Is there a reason why staff couldn't add the compensations or resolutions of the pay rate schedule in different agendas? And I think that's what the motion was earlier. I would like to see this in future agendas, to have it literally where we can vote on each item rather than having everything together, so that we don't have to have something like Mr. Cox missed some of the information, or me thinking, well, can I talk about the golf course right now or can I not? Because I'm not being cued myself. So it would really assist if we could have that already from staff providing information, knowing that something like this is going to take into account. And when did the city start looking for the homeless coordinator position? Was it an internal or an external hire? Please provide me with the information as to the hiring requirements, times, and dates.
I can speak to the first question. The second question, I think, is more the preference of the council as to whether or not it wants us to start bifurcating these items and separating them out, and also answer homeless recruitment. So speaking to the first item, and I think the quotation there, or the comment there was more speaking to the fundamental difference in the change in revenue versus expenditure, and there does appear just in the recommendations and even in the resolution that there's an imbalance, just looking at those 2 numbers between the revenue and expenditure, but certainly where you have expenditures being increased and revenues being decreased, typically you rely on fund balance or unencumbered fund balance, which would be akin to the cash available. So that would be the case in the airport, given its access to the line of credit, and also the same is the case with the water district, as it has cash reserves for both operations, maintenance, and capital. So those are likely sources to satisfy that difference. As to pulling out the table of order, certainly if the council so chooses to pull that out, we can treat that as a completely separate item, but it's very traditional that that's accompanied with the budget document itself. And then finally, with respect to the homeless solutions coordinator position. That's not something that has been solicited yet. It's not been marketed yet for recruitment. We could not do so until such a time that the table of work was approved and the budget was approved, allowing for that position to be created. But the job description is something that we have drafted, and it's something among those items we've been working on since, since January, I suspect, time's flying, when we were directed to start forming the task force, and this was one of those items that we identified as likely necessary, if we were to tackle the homelessness solutions in a leadership capacity.
Okay, and I have several questions that I have made copies of, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to Mr. Mesler so I can have
You
responses.
have 30 seconds.
And I also have a copy of all the questions that I asked that I'm going to ask the city clerk to make a part of today's archive. So if anybody in the audience wants to ever pull it and see what kind of questions we're asking, we're limited in time. That way you at least have the questions in writing. You can always pull them up in the archives for today's date.
There are no other questions.
So again, specific to the item that I think we're voting on first, with the absence of Councilmember Cox, the item that we're focused on is those that relate to the golf course and the golf course fund. I think the easiest way to describe that particular item is that largely they're correcting entries, correcting entries involving the interfund loans from the sanitary fund to the general fund to satisfy, from VMIS to the general fund to the sanitary fund. And one step that we missed was to include having the golf course fund, I believe it's Fund 400, don't quote me on that, because the loan that existed between golf and sanitary was the Fund 400. We missed that step in the original budgeting, so effectively what this item is doing is correcting those entries so that the actual funds paid back from VMIS that was owed from VMIS to the general fund then was able to satisfy the golf course loan by using that money to pay back the sanitary fund, which was propping up the golf course efficiency for many, many years. So that's the biggest part of it. My notes tell me, and I'll allow Deputy City Manager Harris to correct me, but my notes are telling me that of the 13.6 million, 13.5 million are correct entries. The other item involving the golf course is approximately $47,000 on the operating side. I think it's page 37 is what Mr. Harris was telling me. And that would be the only item dealing with the operational element of the golf course. So that would be an actual expenditure, that'd be a cash issue. Everything else is more of a correcting entry issue, not cash.
Thank you.
So may I follow up on that, Madam Mayor? Thank you. So just to make sure that everyone's fully clear, that on the journal entries regarding the golf fund, the $6,600, that's just merely to make sure that the posting date counts are shown properly. There's no cash involved. It's just a correcting journal entry.
Yes. Yes, there was one thing we did not clean up was Fund 400, which was the actual golf course fund, was the owing party to the sanitary fund, and that's what we're cleaning up.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I do not have any speaker cards.
It'd still be appropriate just to open a public hearing to see if anybody would like to speak.
At this time, I open the public hearing. And I do not have any speaker cards, therefore I close the public hearing. And at this time, I request a motion in a second to adopt the resolution number.
Mayor, if I might, it'd be better right now, based on Mr. Metzler's presentation, just to have a vote on those two golf course issues that he just addressed. So it would be to approve the line item correction on the golf course and the appropriation of the $48,000. so that we can then consider the resolution without any discussion about the golf course. So if that could be a motion to approve those two items, that's what we'd be looking for at this point.
Okay, the motion would be just for those two items, and that was for 47,000?
It was for about, yeah, I believe the line item is,
41?
31.
No, I'm sorry. The page reference is very long. The exact amount,
What is that?
the exact amount is an increase of $46,002.42.
42?
I'm not hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the page reference is page 31 of the staff report, and the actual dollar amount is $42,002.42. Requested increase to the contract services.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, the motion would be to
$46,002.42.
46 and 42 cents. Okay.
So I'm happy to make a motion. All right, so I move that with regard to the golf course issues, that we approve the line item journal entries, making sure that the original numbers are posted to the correct accounts, and also appropriate an additional $46,002.42.
I second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Garcia. Any further comments?
Yes. And it's not related just specifically to that, so my comment is, and you can correct me after I say this, because the layman person would read this just as I am reading it, so you can correct me later, but I want to make sure I'm saying what I need to say based on my interpretation. So the city manager is receiving $16,000 in travel plus car allowance. He sits as a delegate making over $250,000 and has opened a position of over $75,000 to do what the city council delegated him to do. How many cities have 2 public information officers or an assistant to the assistant? The city manager has 2 city assistants and 2 more assistants to help his.
Madam Mayor, may I call for the orders of the day? The discussion at this point should be confined to the motion on the table.
There's a comment, we're allowed to by policy go
It
to
needs to be
comment.
confined to the motion pending.
that is correct. It should relate just to the golf course issues at this point.
Well, this
Your
comes-
discussion can occur, would be
This
more
is going to
appropriate.
talk to about the golf course, but if I can say when Mr. Cox is here, I mean,
Well, if you have
that's
comments
not a
about the golf
problem.
course, that'd be appropriate.
We're not discussing anybody's wages or anything. We're discussing-
I can comment about this, whatever I want, not what you want me to discuss. Okay, so I'll look, there's something here that I can talk to about that. It talks about golf course tax abatement and incentives. I mean, if that's illegitimate when he's here, that's the only thing I wanna say about the golf course.
Keith, do you know what that's about?
Tax abatement for the golf course, I'm not familiar with. Can you
Right, that's why I said if I can either say it all and he's here and it's not a problem, I will, but I'm being curtailed to narrow what I need to speak on. No, that's me making an analogy to what's happening. So that's why I said it's not necessarily that regard. So I can say that when he's here, it's not a big deal.
Well, again, the motion on the floor relates to the funding of golf course issues. So if you have comments related to the golf course, absolutely appropriate at this time. If there's other comments related to the rest of the budgetary items, we're gonna handle that next, so it'd be appropriate to have those
Okay,
comments at
so
that
when I
time.
say golf course tax abatement and incentives, that's what I'm gonna be saying, whether you feel it's
That
appropriate
actually
or
should
not.
be fine, because
Okay.
again, we're not taking any action on that item.
That works?
So we have a motion and a second on the floor.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
So that motion fails. So now we should move on to the rest of item B1, and we can have Mr. Cox rejoin the discussion. For the benefit of the public, the reason that motion fails is we need 3 votes when it's a budgetary item.
Correct, and so, may I ask a question, Madam Mayor? Thank you. So then is the it seems to me that we're legally bound to make correcting journal entries, et cetera. So at this point, do we venture to bring this back to the next agenda when we have another council member present that
Right.
could conceivably.
I believe staff plans to do that.
And my reason for voting no is for legitimate reasons. You go out, we spend $1.2 million, $666,000 goes by the wayside. And I don't think it's fair that we continue to subsidize the golf course.
All right, now we are on the remainder of item B1, which is the 3 resolutions before you.
We
Again,
are on resolution number SCLA A 19-002.
correct, along with resolution VWD 19001 and resolution of the City Council 19010. And again, the discussion at this point is exclusive of any discussion on any things related to the golf course funding.
Is there any discussion from you, Councilmember Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, no.
Did you have any discussion on these additional items?
Have you opened the public hearing?
Yes, we've had the public
I
hearing.
opened the public hearing.
I don't have any questions.
Ms. Fox?
My questions were all relayed in the packet that I gave to the city manager.
Well, I do not have any speaker cards, therefore I'll close, I'll close the public hearing at this time. And, I need a motion and a second for the, additional 2 items. Is that 3?
There are 3 items, again, with the understanding that with respect to the City
3
Council
items.
resolution, it does not relate to the golf course.
Okay. Very good. Need a motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, so I move that the council and boards of directors take action in accordance with the recommendations posted on the agenda, accepting any matters related to the golf course.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Garcia. Any further comments?
Yes. I was under the impression there was going to be a public hearing on the first item and then held the other 2 separate in a public hearing, so you held the public hearing. I wasn't in the room.
There were no,
Anything I should know about?
there were no comments in the public hearing at all.
No comments at all. I have read this item and I have no questions on either one. Thank you.
Ms. Gomez, did you have anything?
Yes. So the city manager, Mr. Keith Mesler, is receiving $16,000 in travel plus car allowance, despite his monthly allowance of $20,000 a month, not a year, just so everybody knows. He sits as the delegate, making over $250,000 and has opened a position of over $75,000 to do what the city council delegated him to do, and I'm talking about the homeless solution coordinator. And he's a delegate, so he goes to the ICH meetings, so I just want that for the public to consume. How many cities have 2 public information officers or an assistant to the assistant? That's who we're hiring, and we're adopting the resolution. It's unfortunate that no one spoke. The city manager has 2 city assistants and 2 more to help his assistants, costing us over $1 million. If that wasn't enough for your city tax-paying dollars, we're continuing to provide welfare to this administration. Welfare through your tax dollars continues giving certain administrative privileges and full-time wages of over $250,000. Jim Cox asks about saving money, but doesn't approve the $1,200 for the year in travels for a council member, but turns a blind eye on the approximate $500,000 that the city attorney took in 2018. 2019, that's in Councilmember Jones, Mayor Garcia, both also turn a blind eye to the excessive costs. You should read this. I disagree with giving power to the city council regarding tuition reimbursement. If the council chooses not to allocate the funds necessary to continue the program in any particular fiscal year due to any budget constraints, we have to see how the priority is not, we must see how we don't have a priority for our employees, but for that golf course tax abatement and incentives that I was saying. I also disagree with the work week full-time of non-safety employees continuing to be on furloughs. 10% of their work time that has resulted in 36-hour work weeks and a loss of 10% in compensation. I disagree with this golf fund clearly and with these items that have been packed.
Madam Mayor, do you have comments? Thank you. So, just so that the record is clear, I reviewed the budget quite extensively, did not find anything to be out of order on this. The types of things that our city manager participates in are typical to city managers across the state, including the salary and the other benefits and things that are offered to him in order to carry out the work that he has before him. As far as my taking a blind eye to any of the numbers and representations in the budget presented to the community, well, that is just patently false. I work very faithfully to make sure that I'm making decisions that are wise and discerning and in the best interests of our community. It's not my nature to take a blind eye to any business in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. I won't even attempt to defend myself because it's useless. And we have a conflict here immediately.
Madam Mayor, because we're dealing with the budget item, there was certainly one comment that Ms. Gomez made that's just patently wrong, grossly overstated, especially when she was identified. She had identified myself as receiving $16,000 a month for travel. I do not receive $16,000 a month for travel. My best guess that trying to assume what she was meaning, there might be $16,000 for my entire departmental budget for the year, but certainly my contract does not provide, nor does the city compensate $16,000 a month for travel.
Thank you for clarifying that. She should do a little more research before she starts.
Page 29, it says CM, which is city manager, and it says travel and meetings, and it says 16,000. If you want to interpret it just like I did, that's why we have clarification from administration. But when I don't have, I can't sit with them because they don't want to sit with me to clarify. I got to put it out there for all of us to know why this is happening, right?
Can we continue with the
And again, Madam Mayor, just so that the public is clear of what Councilmember Gomez is pointing to, it's actually speaking to the department, not an individual. There is a department called the City Manager's Department here in the organization, so that is actually a line item dealing with the annual expense, budget expense for the department.
Thank you, she just doesn't understand. Okay, we will continue on.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Mayor Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes with Ramirez being absent and Gomez voting no.
Now we move on to consent calendar. And consent calendar items C1 through C8 may be approved with one motion. Unless a council member requests an item to be pulled for further discussion.
I'm pulling items C2, C4, and C8.
C2, and what?
2, 4, 8.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I have none to pull. Thank you.
I don't have any to pull on that basis. I move approval of the consent calendar with the exception of C2, C4, and C8.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Cox, seconded by Councilmember Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries with Ramirez being absent.
So for item C2, which is Title 2 and Title 16 in Chapter 5, that's resolution